Yo, most new traders sabotage themselves before they ever place a trade, not because they can't afford Tesla, but because their brain's negativity bias tells them that they can't. They see $1,000 plus contracts and stop looking. But the reality, you can start with as little as $100, between $100 to $500, using cheaper, lower delta contracts. Let me show you how to forecast your gains before you even click buy, and why that simple math can change the way you trade forever. All right, now I'm on the AMD chart, but the same is true for Tesla, and I could easily navigate to the Tesla chart. But for this purpose, it really doesn't matter. So just follow along as I explain. Let me quickly jump over to Thinkorswim. And I'm in Tesla because I want you all to look at these contracts, okay? Now, we want to take a look at a couple of things: the cost of the Tesla contract and or various Tesla contracts, and then find the cheaper lower delta contract so I can continue my explanation. I also want to point out that you don't have to day trade this as well. So this is really ideal for those who can't afford the time to day trade and you want to take longer term positions, because the example that I'm going to provide will highlight this fact. All right. So let's assume we're selecting a contract that doesn't expire until 41 days. All right. So I'm in the Tesla option chain and I'm selecting the row that has 41 days, right? That simply represents time till expiration. Now, at the very top row, you can see the ask price here says 39.05, 39.05. If you move the decimal over two places, that will give you your whole dollar amount, which is the cost for one Tesla contract. That's $3,900 or $3,900. Now, typically traders will purchase contracts that's within this range, right? 0.47 to 0.65. All right. So anywhere between that range, typically 0.50 is what traders will look for, or just one out of the money, which will be this 0.47. Now, again, those might still be out of your budget, right? 1,855 or $1,650. So maybe that's out of your budget. Okay, so let's scroll down and find the lower delta contracts. I like to stay within like 0.18, 0.20, so anywhere between 0.16 to 0.26, all right, or higher. If you can afford the higher ones, then feel free to choose those. But for those of you who may not have that in your budget, we're going to look at these. So remember, I said anywhere between $100 to $500. So we did find one. All right, we can look at the 0.15 for $400, or we can do the 0.18 for a little bit over $500. Okay, so let's use this one. And you can see, you can keep scrolling down and you can find those as well. Now, let's look at the delta. What you might be asking, what does this delta number mean in this column? All right, so let me explain this. So before I explain this, let's recap, right? So we just looked at Tesla contract options to, first of all, see what are the cost of each one single contract, and how do we find cheaper contracts that we can purchase that's within our budget, right? And so now we're looking at the delta column and trying to determine what does this number mean exactly as it relates to me trying to trade, Tesla in this example. Well, this number here, again, same thing. If you move the decimal over two places, it represents a whole dollar amount. So if you start at the lowest point, 0.04 represents $4, and all the way up to 0.22, which is $22, right? So now we could choose one in between. We could look at this 0.10, which is $10. All right, so that's a 0.10 delta contract, and the cost of it is $259. So that strike price is 420. So this column in the gray is the strike price, and we're going to home in on the price and the delta columns, right? So $260. for a 0.10 delta contract. All right, now let's jump over to the chart. I'm on the AMD chart, but the same is true for Tesla. Um, if we because we chose a contract that doesn't expire for 44 days, let's go back. I went back to July, right, to choose this point. So after continuation higher, we had a slight pullback here in July. All right, so um, if we look at this point and we're thinking, hey, let's go ahead and enter a position for, again, this is AMD, but the same is true for any stock. All right, as well as what I showed you on the in Thinkorswim in terms of the delta. So you can look at the delta column, the point, whether it's $5 or $10 or $50, it doesn't matter. This explanation applies across the board. So the chart here doesn't matter too much. All right. So we're just going to be looking at the prices off to the right. And for AMD, the price at this point was 134.70. Let's just say 134.70, July the 7th. I'm looking at the date here below, right? July the 7th. So this candle here, I'm on the daily time frame for those of you who are interested in knowing that. I'm on the daily time frame, so every candle on this chart is 1 day, 24 hours, right? So this is July 7th. This is the next day. This is the following day, July 8th, Thursday. So the price is starting to increase, right? It's starting to rise. Let's assume that you're ready to enter your position with that lower delta contract, the 0.10 for 265, right? Remember that was the price. So we enter a contract here, and that delta means for every dollar move. So in other words, since we're expecting the price to increase, for every dollar move higher, you can expect to make $10, right? For every dollar move and so on, right? The same is true for the lower deltas, whether it's $5, $20, $50, or whatever. For every dollar move higher, you will make $10. And if you were taking a short position, obviously banking that the price is going to decrease or fall, then the same is true in reverse, right? For every dollar move lower, you'd make $10. So in this case, we're focusing on the long position because we're expecting price to increase, right? So if we were to look at the entry of 137, let's just make it 137 even or 138. So we'll look at 137 even as the price that we entered in on. And this is July the 8th. Now let me scroll up and you can see, right? Look at the climb on this particular stock. Remember, I'm in AMD. Yes, we looked at the Tesla contracts, but the name of the ticker doesn't matter in this example, just the numbers, right, that we're discussing. So because it's true across any stock, right? And so look, this particular stock rose as high as 180. Let's just say 183, all right? 183. So from 137 to 183, let's do some quick math. 187 minus 163. Did I get that right? Oh, sorry. 137. That was 183, 137. That's a $46 move. Now, bear with me because this is where it gets interesting. That's a $46 move. So when we hit equal, now we have our dollar amount from the time we entered. And remember, we have 44 days until our contract expires. And if you jump back here, we got in July 7th, or was it July 8th? Yep, July 8th. And we reached as high as 183 by July 31st. By July 31st. Now, like I said, this is where it gets interesting. So not even 30 days, not even 30 days yet, but we're already up $46. Now, if we chosen the 0.10 delta contract, which is $10, and we can multiply that by 10, right? That means with that one contract of $265, or was it 260? Let's double check that. I want to make sure I'm getting this number correct. So the 0.10 delta contract was $260. Yes. So that one contract of $260 would have brought you an extra $460. So the way you look at this, the way this will read in your brokerage is that 460 will say plus 260. This would have been the total value of your contract, $720, right? So you would have gained 460 from your initial position of 260. Isn't that amazing? In less than 30 days, you could have made for almost $500. And this is what we talk about when we say the power of options and how the value of these contracts grow exponentially as the price of the stock moves in either direction. Because as a stock options trader, you make money in either direction, whether the price is going up or going down. So for us, we don't care which direction the price moves. We can make money in either direction, right? So with that said, if you have any questions about today's video, just DM me or feel free to join my live because I go over this. I host what's called a day traders lab, right? And I go live and talk about these types of topics and more. I talk about my trades. I do recaps. I talk about, A through Z, whatever. All right. So, and I answer all sorts of questions. Um, that the viewers drop in the live chat. So if you're interested in that, hey, DM me and you can find out when I'm going live and I'll let you know when I plan to go live any week. All right. All right. So later, it's your man Ace. I'm dropping the mic right here. Till next video. Later. I'm out.